Wake up, wake up. August, we got? Wednesday, August 28th already. We're 12 days out from the NFL season opener for the 49ers on Monday Night Football against the Jets. Still got no sight of Trent Williams or Brandon Ayuk, but it's good to see you again. Thanks very much for coming on by. Damon Bruce with you. Larry Krueger has been sitting in a dark room with a burning candle with the word Mordecai on it. I'm guessing for the last 24 hours. Larry, are you crestfallen? What are you doing with your Tanner Mordecai jersey? How desperate are you that he ends up on this practice squad? That's your boy.
Well, it's funny too. There's no doubt in my mind that Mordecai is probably better than Allen and Dobbs, but I did expect him to get cut. Just because the 49ers, are a championship team and they're looking for a championship. They want to go with more proven guys at quarterback, but I do hope that he finds his way to the practice squad today. That's a big question. Will the Niners, they kept 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. Will they keep a 4th quarterback on the practice squad? With 16 practice squad spots, why the hell not?
Well, like and subscribe. It's good to be with you. And again, you're going to want to subscribe to both of these channels, both the Krug Show and Damon Bruce Plus, because today's going to be a day full of news. This is, it's like we got the settled 53-man roster, and now it reshuffles once again because today practice squads are going to be ironed out. Do you have a time on that, Larry, when everyone has to have their practice squad lists in? Because after that list gets in, then NFL GMs are going to start combing the list of guys who did not make the practice squad list to see if there's anyone they might want to add. And then the rating of practice squads can also begin. So even though we got our official rosters, there's still a lot of time for, moving parts to move around.
Yeah, I don't know the exact time today, but there's a deadline of when you can, start adding guys to your practice squad. Teams have already started to do it unofficially, but I think there'll be a time later today where you can officially add guys to your practice squad and kind of solidify everything. Today's a major transaction day around the NFL. Lots of guys were cut yesterday. They've loosened the regulations on the practice squad, so now veteran players can be included. I don't think every spot, but certain spots on the practice squad are allotted, I believe, for veteran players. So that's a good thing. And we'll see, how the Niners go about it. Yesterday, the one thing that was disappointing to me is that the Niners took kind of a short-range view of their roster instead of a long-range view. And what I mean by that is Demetrius Flanagan, Fowles, and Curtis Robinson, I don't think are going to be great players from scrimmage. I do think they're good special teamers and useful right away. But I think Jalen Graham and Tatum Bethune and D. Winters are more, guys who can start from scrimmage as an off the ball linebacker at some point. And they kept 2 and they cut Graham. And I just think Graham's going to wind up somewhere else and do very, very well. And I hate getting rid of good football players. And he's definitely a good one. So hopefully they can get him back and put him on the practice squad. But I think he's probably moving on.
You might be right. The guy's got options. The guy's got talent, and the 49ers are making, some tough decisions. And it's weird because some of the decisions that they're making are clearly, targeting this year as the year. And the biggest decision that they're not making is leaving an awful lot of wiggle room. Should we even take you seriously? What's so odd to me here, Larry? And I don't want to lose another show to Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk. I really don't. But what's the end game here? You tell me how this is supposed to end. How could any contractual or negotiation win for the 49ers be scored as more valuable to them in this year than having both players report and be ready to go in week 1? Now, we could debate. Smart people could disagree on Brandon Ayuk's true value. So I don't even want to talk about him. I just want to talk about this through the prism of Trent Williams, who is a guy that is, you literally play him until the wheels fall off. Guaranteeing him money in his $70 million plus remaining dollars that he has in his 3-year contract remaining with the 49ers. It just shouldn't be a problem, Larry. It just shouldn't. I don't understand what the hesitation is in compensating correctly the best tackle in football and where there's any divide as to what should happen. Especially when you've searched for, the better part of 7 years for finally a franchise quarterback, And now you have him, and he's going to be in line for the biggest pay raise in the history of professional sports coming up next year. And you're not going to protect him. You're going to penny pinch around his blind side. I don't get it. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain it to me like I just got here. Larry, explain it to me in a way that makes me see it from the Niners standpoint. I can't.
Well, I mean, it's just a, you've got a player. He had a contract. The guys who signed today are at the top of the pay scale and you could argue are overpaid. The guys who signed years ago are underpaid. It's just the way it is. And now here he is. He's got no more guaranteed money on his deal. He still feels like he's the best tackle in football, and he probably isn't, to be completely honest. But he had a down postseason, and he's at an age where he just wants to get a few more millions of dollars guaranteed. I mean, he still is trying to. He has got no more guaranteed money on his deal, and it's as simple as that. He wants to add some millions of dollars to his deal. I don't think they want to. I think the issue here, though, is how many years and how far out do you put this? Because you don't want to have a deal that's structured into the future that handicaps you if he walks away after this year. So, there's that structure. It's like, I'm sure he wants a second year and a third year and, all kinds of money thrown in that could be spread across the contract, but that doesn't make sense for the 49ers, most likely. So I think ultimately it gets done. It seems like it's not a surprise to them. It seems like they knew this was coming. I think ultimately they're going to give him a couple $1 million of guaranteed money, and hopefully he comes in. But he's trying to capitalize.
Hey, man,
everybody's trying to run to the bank before Brock gets his. That's it. Right. Because when Brock gets his, the money will be gone. And then, we talked about this. There were articles that predicted this exact offseason for the 49ers 6, 7, 8 months ago, that because Brock's contract was looming, that everybody, that had any leverage at all was going to try to use that leverage this summer to squeeze out a better deal for themselves.
And we only anticipated that. And it's like they operated in a business manner that ignored what they claimed to now they have known this whole time. I mean, it's so weird.
Well, I just think there's no shame on Parag at all. None. I mean, he is just, for him to go walk around and say, no, I'm not paying that. No, I'm not paying that. We're getting a team friendly deal. It's like I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's something about Parag that makes it seem like he thinks it's his birthright to win every contract negotiation. And that if he doesn't win the contract negotiation, just don't, just that's it. Abort. I will only win. So, I mean, I know his job is to have the team pay as little as possible. But all these other teams seem like they can get their star players signed. How come the 49ers can't get their star players signed?
Well,
and it's now impacting their ability to win.
They have a lot of star players that are signed. The 49ers are not lacking star players.
But they never get it done on time. They never get it done in a due amount of time. They fucked around with Bosa's year. He had a down year. They fucked around with Debo's year. He had a down year. Now they fucked around with Trent and Ayuk in their Super Bowl window. What's the likelihood that they're going to get true A performances out of those two guys? Probably not that good because they waited so long. Neither of these guys has a camp. They need a quick start. They don't seem like they get it. They got a really daunting schedule. I don't know. It's for a team that needs to hit the ground running. They don't seem like they grasp that concept.
No, there seems to be an incredible lack of urgency. The same sort of just jogging, slothing around the field effort that got Chase Young run out of town after his performance in the NFC title game is the exact same manner in which this front office is conducting its business. They are just loafing around. Huge moment that could decide whether or not they go to the Super Bowl. And if it was bad enough to get Chase Young the hell out of here, Larry, there's a part of me where Evil Damon starts taking over. Okay. I try to prevent Evil Damon from happening. I really do. But every now and then Evil Damon starts to take over. And there's a part of Evil Damon, I can feel him trying to unhatch, who wants Brock Purdy to suffer a blindside season-ending hit that Jalen Moore gives up and just have the entire rest of the game, you have a close-up of Jed York's face. Don't even show me the field again. You
Well,
finally
how about Parag? How about
Parag?
Parag? I mean, we're gonna hang this on Jed.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna hang this on Parag. Parag's the chief negotiator.
All right, but
He's
Jed
the
can
guy.
walk in there and say, pay him.
Parag's the guy who gets patted on the back when the Niners, don't pay their players as much as they should. Who gets patted on the back? Parag. By the way, as we're talking, you made a correct prediction. You said at the beginning of the show, as we're sitting here, news is going to be coming across. According to the Cobra, Matt Mayoko, Damon, the Cobra has struck.
Who's back?
He
Who's on the practice squad.
The Cobra. The 49ers are bringing back veteran tight end Eric Saubert to the 53-man roster.
Okay.
In a move described as roster gymnastics, he's expected to be their number 2 tight end behind starter George Kittle. This was I had to laugh yesterday because I did predict in my videos that the Niners would go with 2 tight ends, and on the 53. And people, you obviously don't know anything because they will not go with 2 tight ends. And my thing was just that if you're going with Garendo and Juice, and you want to keep your corner depth, your D line depth, your O line depth, all your quarterback, you're probably going to need to go short at a couple spots. Tight end might be one of those spots, especially since this was a shitty tight end group, in my opinion. Latu sucked. Braden Willis, and seriously, we could block as well as Braden Willis. Tongas had a nice camp, but he's borderline NFL. So you've got, a receiver who's got no strength in Tongas. You got Kittle. You got Pline probably headed towards the practice squad. They intentionally did that. So they're really thin at tight end. So and Saubert is their blocker. So he's going to be the blocker. Kittle's the one. Saubert's the blocker. And Tongas is going to be the receiver. We'll see. So
to put Saubert on the 53 man who is off it, did they move Ambry Thomas and convert him to what? IR, whatever it is.
Yeah, Hufanga and 2 players I've read last night. I think it's Hufanga and who's the other player that are going to get moved today back to because of the injuries.
Well, I thought Ambry Thomas actually making the roster was maybe the biggest surprise and the name that I didn't expect to see on the roster. He's obviously got a rabbi somewhere in that front office. There's somebody who really believes in Ambry Thomas more than the fans do, more than his play has maybe said you should trust him. But obviously he's got a fan somewhere in that building because they went out of their way to keep Ambry Thomas on this team.
He can now he's had the highs and the lows, man. He's really had both.
Yeah. He can now go on injured reserve and be eligible to return. So it's smart roster mechanics. Samuel Womack and Rock Yassin were 2 names that I bet you we probably would have had maybe on the roster. It would have been hard to keep both of them, obviously. I thought Rock Yassin was going to be a guy who played himself onto the roster, with Womack having a couple of, I don't know about those plays in some preseason games. So I think the Rock Yassin cut is a little bit of a surprise. But
he'll be back today. So today I believe Rock Yassin will be re-signed. And he'll be added to their secondary. So Hufanga was activated off the PUP list, right? So he takes one of the 4 spots at safety, but it sounds like they want to slow play Hufanga. So I think Hufanga, they'll probably do something with Hufanga's role today and add 1 player, in the secondary, probably Rock Yassin. I personally would rather, I think Rock Yassin will clear waivers. I don't think Womack's going to clear waivers. I think Womack's going to get plucked. So Womack, I think, is gone. So that's a loss because you lose a quality corner and you didn't get anything for him. But they like Isaac Yadam and they like Rock Yassin, and they've got an army of depth there at corner. So but they're losing a good player there.
All right. Let's get back. This is all like edge of roster minutia. Let's get back to Evil Damon, because Evil Damon's more entertaining than any of this shit. Evil Damon kind of wants to see Brock Purdy hurt week 1 if Trent Williams isn't out there. just to give team thinks it
That's
knows
fucking
better
stupid.
than everyone.
That's fucking stupid.
No, just a team, just the team that thinks it knows so fucking much about everything.
So now we're rooting for our starting quarterback to go down to make a point.
Would it make the point? I mean, is
that the point? You want the Niners starting quarterback to be out for the fucking year to make a fucking point.
Calm down. What is the point of being in a Super Bowl window if you don't?
Did you say evil Damon or idiot Damon? I mean, seriously, you're going to run out a quarterback before week 1.
Would it not make the point that you guys aren't as smart as you think you are?
I don't think that's it's a negotiation, Damon. You can go good versus evil, but it's not as simple as good versus. Not everything's as simple as good versus evil. Sometimes it's just a negotiation, but business negotiation between two sides. They have issues. They have things that they want to work out. There's, complexities to this thing. They said they started early. This market was reset twice. I personally think that Brandon Ayuk has communicated very inconsistently. I think the Niners' offer to Brandon Ayuk has been fair. I think Brandon Ayuk is just. I think he's distorted.
Not talking about Brandon Ayuk. Not talking about.
It's taken so long. You're complaining that it's taking so long, and I'm telling you why it's taking so long. It's taking so long because
Trent Williams is the only topic I'm talking about right here. Trent Williams will protect. To Brandon Ayuk will present a target to your quarterback. There's other guys to present a target. There's nobody else on the. With Trent Williams, you got an average offensive line. Without him, you're a below average offensive line. In the history of football, below average offensive lines don't win Super Bowls. So what the fuck you doing? I think they've lost the plot, Larry. I think they've completely lost the plot as to what it is matters around here.
I don't know if we can sit there and say definitively, what level of offensive line play has won Super Bowls. Do you know? Can you name all the offensive linemen on last year's Super Bowl champion?
No, but bad offensive lines don't win Super Bowls, and below average offensive lines really don't win Super Bowls unless you got Patrick Mahomes, in which case I guess you don't really have much to worry about.
That the Niners offensive line could be grouped as below average offensive line. They allowed, I think, only the 3rd or 4th fewest sacks. Maybe it's 5th, but they were like in the top 5 as far as fewest sacks allowed. So that's partially an offensive line stat, right? So it's not like the quarterbacks, it's not like it's jailbreak on Brock Purdy. They got the best left tackle. I think they got a solid left guard.
No, they don't have any left tackle. They got
the best left tackle when he shows up.
When he shows up. So look at it this way.
I think he's going to show up
out there in week 1, then we have absolutely nothing to worry about. And Evil Damon apologizes for all doubt and worrying and casting dispersions upon everybody.
Well, I get it. He's not here, so we're bitching and complaining. But it's not really all that productive, whether it's entertaining or not. It doesn't move the needle as far as it's not changing anything. This is a dispute between Trent and the Niners. It's not even a dispute. It's just a guy who said, you know what? I'm 36. I'm probably not going to have another big deal. I need more guaranteed money thrown on this deal, like right now. And so that's kind of an unprecedented ask. And so I'm sure that was not received all that well by the Niners, but the Niners are looking around going, you know what? We have no choice. We have to take care of this guy. Now, my thing would be like, since you're going to take care of him, and we all know you are going to take care of him, do it now. Do it now so you actually have a chance to potentially win. I don't want to give away week 1 to the Jets because, you know what? We couldn't get the Trent thing done in time. Because we all know it's going to get done. But if it gets done in week 3, when you're, 0-2 out of the gate, that's going to be really, really bad. This is the wrong year to fuck around with long negotiations that run into the season, because the September schedule is your opportunity to get out to a good start. It's daunting in November. It gets really, really dicey in the second half of the year. So you better bank some wins in the first half of the year. And right now, it doesn't seem like their contract negotiation people have talked to their football people about the football plan to go to the playoffs this year.
They are playing fast and reckless with the health of their finally found him franchise quarterback. they are playing fast and reckless with the chances of returning to a Super Bowl as they are approaching the end of their championship window as they are currently constructed. This is it. This is the last chance you're going to get with this team as you know it into another Super Bowl to try to win it. And they just feel like, I just don't understand how, of all the guys on the team, like if we really had to sit down and talk about most important to least important. So Brock Purdy, because he is the starting quarterback, always gets to wear the title of most important. And then I'd say the guy that protects your starting quarterback would be right behind him, your left tackle. And so you are jeopardizing your most important player by not having your second most important player there. And why? Krug, I don't know
why. Here's why. Here's why.
I don't know what happened with your
here, wait. Camera here.
Video there. You went all test pattern on us.
I don't know what happened there. I just
had to
start camera again. Ray Rogers, not to be confused with the fast food spot that's on the East Coast, Roy Rogers, said no one should want someone hurt. We are like $50 million over the cap in 2025. It's not that easy sometimes, Damon.
Oh, you mean the year that isn't here yet? The year that isn't even here yet? The year that we don't need to worry about? The year
that the 49ers are going to have to pay their quarterback probably 60 or 65 times what he's currently making. That calendar year, they're $50 million over the cap. So this is kind of their situation. I mean, this is the challenge of continuous success in the NFL, is that you have continuous success. Well, how do you have that? You have that by having good players. You have enough of them, you got to pay them. And then you start paying them, and all of a sudden you look up and the NFL makes a top 100 list, and of the top 30 players in the league, you've got 23% of them on your roster. So that's really, there's nothing nefarious, terrible going on here. It's the Niners are a deep football team that's been on top and now has a bunch of guys who are getting paid. I mean, Julian Edelman said it the other day in the pregame to the preseason game. He said, usually you win a bunch of Super Bowls and then everybody wants to get paid. In this particular situation, the Niners have yet to win a Super Bowl, and yet everybody wants to get paid. And it's just because of the timing of everybody's contracts. So yeah, they knew they were going to have to they were going to be challenged to keep it together, and they are being challenged to keep it together. But my God, I mean, I get the sense that the communication has not been great, but I don't know who. I mean, it would be easy to just be like, well, I'll blame Parag. It could be Parag's fault. It could be all Parag's fault, but it also could be all Brandon's fault. It could be all Brandon's agent's fault. I've seen a couple commentaries in the last 48 hours from people who believe that the Niners' recent offers to Ayuk have been fair, and that he clearly values himself higher than the 49ers value him, that's, I think, the challenge. I think that and the two resets of the market have made this an incredibly challenging thing. I think Ayuk's going through it for the first time. He's making a documentary. I think he's emotionally attached to every up and down part of this thing. I think that's part of it. And the Niners Parag's a super tough negotiator, and that's what he's here for. So, look, I mean, it's very frustrating.
I'm not talking about Brandon Ayuk. I understand why
we should be talking about Brandon Ayuk, because he actually is the one who has a contentious negotiation. I don't think the Trent thing is nearly as contentious. They seem like they're on the same page, and I would think he's going to be in the facility. My guess was within 72 hours. I mean, I think the Trent thing gets done. I don't know about the Ayuk thing.
I hope that you're right, and shame on everyone if you're wrong, because this uncontentious negotiation just had the guy who was not contentiously negotiating come out and say, yeah, I'm willing to miss regular season games. In other words, Trent Williams is willing to, would take hostage regular season wins in order to, make the money he wants to make. That sounds like a little contention to me. And that's just the one guy I'm not fucking around with. Like I'll sit around and I'll dicker with Brandon Ayuk. We can fuck around and determine what you're really worth and figure it all out. I know what Trent Williams is worth. He's worth the most amount of money you can pay an offensive lineman in football. That's what he's worth. That's who he is. I saw that the contract broken down by David Lombardi. He's got a 3-year, $77.3 million deal. He got paid an awful lot up front when he originally signed this deal. He's making an annual average value of $25.8 million. Top tackles right now, Darisaw, Penei Sewell, Tristan Wirfs. These guys are making about $27 to $28 million. So we're talking about a $4 or $5 million difference in upfront money. That's what he's looking for. Trent Williams has got 20.8 coming to him this year, 23.4 coming to him next year. And then in 2026, it's 33.1. That's a lot of money for a 38-year-old tackle. And Trent knows that. And Trent knows that he's going to probably get cut in front of that. So he wants that dollar amount this year.
Well, he's just all going to be renegotiated. I mean,
right.
He's never going to play at $33 million.
Right.
But yeah, that's just the way it goes.
This is where you take a whole bunch of money, you convert it to salary bonus. Like, this is Parag's job to do this. And this is what the job is.
But once again, everybody rewrites the narrative. It's like there's tons of people that watched the Super Bowl last year. And there's all kinds of people that seem to think that the 49ers had a pretty good chance of winning that Super Bowl. And that maybe they actually should have won the Super Bowl and kind of blew it by some of the decisions they made in that game, coaching-wise and in overtime.
There's a lot of blame to go around.
So if we're going with they were good enough to win it, they had the middle of the pack 17th rated offensive line in a 32-team league. And yet, by lots of people's accounts, they should have beaten the Dynasty Chiefs in the Super Bowl, outside of a couple stupid decisions or bad decisions. So now all of a sudden those bad decisions are made, and now we hold now suddenly the Niners' lack of winning the Super Bowl is all tied to their offensive line. That offensive line, which was so maligned that everybody hates, it was still good enough to win the conference championship game over a Detroit team that has a great offensive line. So all I'm trying to say is that offensive line matters, but it's not like Detroit's offensive line is the best. Sewell and Decker and Ragnow, and they got dudes. They got a great offensive line. They got Jared Goff. I'll take Brock Purdy in a mid-pack offensive line over Jared Goff and a great offensive line. That's all I'm saying. I think the offensive line matters, but the Niners, they lost partially because of the offensive line, but they also lost partially because of some bad decisions in overtime. They easily could have won, and if they had won, they would have won the Super Bowl with the 17th best offensive line.
Right. So, and so they could, that's what I said. They were a little bit better than average all year long. They were just good enough to be in a Super Bowl. So that's still pretty good enough, but they were measurably an average team across their offensive line. You take Trent Williams off of that average does not go up. It does go down. So now you're drifting towards below average. I love Dominic Pooney. I really do. And if Dominic Pooney is everything we think he can be, then maybe he is someone who helps really even out the imbalance that you would have without a Trent Williams. But that's an awful lot to put on Dominic Pooney as a third rounder who's just a right guard. He's got to help clean up McKivitz's side of the field, not Trent Williams's side of the field as well. Aaron Banks hasn't played a single snap of the preseason because of his broken finger. That's less than optimal. I thought that Brindle was a place where you probably want to improve. It looks like he's the starting center and he's okay, but I was sort of surprised that, when it came to cut downs, we didn't see either Kingston or Nugent make the 53-man roster. I thought that they might be an heir apparent to that throne. Feliciano, waiting for that guy to get back. Again, this is an offensive line that as you step into week one, the last thing I would want attached to it is no Trent Williams. And it looks like that might happen.
It's so funny because we're talking about the offensive line. I actually have as much concern about the defensive line coming into this year as the offensive line. The defensive line, to me, today is a big day for the 49er defensive line. The Niners really are not, they're a shell of what they were 2 years ago, depth-wise on that defensive line. They used to have Ebukam. They used to have Amenahue. They used to have, what's his name? Day. They had a bunch of guys who were like, NFL caliber defensive linemen who were backing up. They used to have 2.5 lines of defensive linemen. Now their defensive end 4 is Robert Beal, who's really raw. Their defensive end 5 is Sam Aquanu, who was just a practice squad guy. Drake Jackson done for the year. They badly, I mean badly today, need to trade for or sign a defensive end that was cut around the league. I mean, today has got to be the defensive end day if you're John Lynch. Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave, Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott. Okay, you're okay inside, even though I'm not really sure exactly what it's going to be, but I think you're okay, fortified by numbers. But then you go Bosa, Leonard Floyd, who's got a knee injury, Yatir Gross-Matos, who's week to week with a knee, and then Robert Beal. So if the game was today, it's Bosa and Beal the entire game with nobody else backing up. So defensive end is a major, major, major problem for the 49ers. And I went through the cut down list, and I can give you some of the defensive ends that are out there, but they absolutely need to investigate every even rather interesting defensive end option and probably make a trade today for a defensive end. So I would say they probably need multiple defensive ends. And I'll say this from looking at the cut down list across the league, man, nobody cut their defensive ends. I mean, seriously, nobody cut good defensive ends.
The ends don't get cut.
Good ones don't get cut. Charles Snowden from the Raiders, who beat up on the Niners in this last preseason game, he actually looked pretty good. He's out there. There's not a lot. I mean, there really is not a lot. Jannard Avery, who's got cut by the Indianapolis, he's out there. If you want a defensive end, the guy from Army or from Minnesota, Andre Carter II, who played at Army, he was cut, and he just had 2.5 sacks in one of the preseason games as a 6'7" edge rusher. Maybe he's a guy they could pick up today. But they badly need to invest probably some 20-25 draft capital in a trade for some defensive end that can help them, because their quality on their defensive line is so south of where it was 2 years ago. I think it's a major, and considering they lean on their defensive line to be like a tone setting unit on their team, I don't think they get enough on the D line this year.
Well, and look, this is what happens when you field a top heavy team. God forbid you get into that depth chart. And that is a corner that the 49ers have painted themselves into. And look, we know why. Like, they got a lot of talent, but the minute you start picking off some of this talent with injuries, oh man, things could go really, off track quickly for this team. They're one Nick Bosa injury away from being a disaster up front. I agree with that. They're a Fred Warner injury away from functioning quite differently. Although, we're in the era of Tatum Bethune, so who knows? By the way, I'm really glad that he made the team. Just shows you tape don't lie. He deserves.
Well, I mean, that's another one. I mean, he played really well in the preseason. I was glad that he made it, but I mean, why? You're going to keep Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, who got absolutely torched in the second half of the Super Bowl by Travis Kelce and the Chiefs, and you're going to bring back him DFF for another year because he's a special teamer at the expense of Jalen Graham. Don't like that move at all. But I'm looking at things. I care more about building a roster that can play from scrimmage, and these coaches and the Niners care more about, having their depth chart filled out on special teams for the Jets next week. So is Jalen Graham going to have a better career than Flannigan-Fowles? Hell yes, he is. But it's probably going to be in a different uniform.
SF Gold Rush says the Rams just claimed Cody Schrader,
which is ironic as hell because they have Blake Corum, who I think is so much like Cody Schrader. I think, they've got Kyron Williams, and now they've got Blake Corum, and now they've got Cody Schrader. So, yeah, I mean, good for the Rams.
Well, that's
good move by the
Rams. On the Rams. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I know that he didn't show very much in the preseason, but there's a football player in there. I bet Sean McVay finds him. I really do.
He's a good football player for sure. I'm a little surprised because there were some other backs out there, But you know what? A lot of people had really high grades on Cody Schrader coming out, and I'll tell you, somebody asked this one last night in a stream that I did. Who got cut yesterday was Frank Gore's kid. And they asked, would I rather have Frank Gore's kid or Cody Schrader? And I really liked what I saw from Cody Schrader this summer, but I think I would probably give a slight nod, if it came right down to it, to Frank Gore's kid. So that's one name I'll be looking for the Niners to put on the practice squad today, Frank Gore Jr. And not for nepotism, because I actually think he can play. I think Frank Gore Jr. is a good player.
I mean, I think that his roster spot got taken by the single most maybe surprising name to make this roster, and that was Patrick Taylor Jr. No one really expected him to see him on the 53-man roster, and Elijah Mitchell has officially moved into the gonna be a rumor portion of his career. It's too bad, man. He had a great rookie year, and then just injuries have not. We haven't seen much of him since that really good rookie year for Elijah Mitchell. But Patrick Taylor Jr. making this team as a running back is a surprise, I really think, and this is also great news for Jordan Mason, who I think did everything this offseason to earn his way up the depth chart and be this team's second running back. Almost second running back with an asterisk, because any carry he can take off of Christian McCaffrey's plate is a carry that's worth, I think, twice as much to the 49ers, because you're getting a good carry out of a guy like Mason, and you're saving, one NFL hit per carry off the body of Christian McCaffrey, and that all goes into the bank of this being a decent season. So really, I'm really happy for Jordan Mason. I'm stunned that Patrick Taylor Jr. made this team. It's a shame about Cody Schrader and Elijah Mitchell. Boy, I hope he doesn't turn into, just that guy we thought might have been something, but then never really happened.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think the Niners caught a break here, because you got to protect, sometimes you got to take things away from Shanahan. And Jordan Mason was never going to see the field as long as Elijah Mitchell was on the depth chart, because Shanahan loves Elijah Mitchell. He uses them all the time. He loves the fact that he falls forward. He loves the fact that he doesn't fumble. He is a huge fan of Elijah Mitchell. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that Mitchell's out, because this is the only way Mason's ever going to get on the field. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, if he's staring down the line of scrimmage or down the sideline and looks at Mason and Mitchell and he points, he's going to Mitchell. Yep. He likes Mitchell. He prefers Mitchell. Mason has outperformed Mitchell probably for the last year and a half, and yet Mason never gets on the field. Now, Mitchell being out, now Shanahan has no choices. He's got to play Mason. And I think that's a good thing. As far as Mitchell goes, I love Mitchell, but he runs upright and he takes a lot of hits. He's only about 205 pounds. And when you run upright and you're 205, man, you get smoked, you get hurt, and you got a short-term career. So that's what I see with him.
I guess my final roster surprise, Larry, because you're talking about Shanahan has his guys and he likes to lean into his guys. And because of that, I was surprised that Trent Taylor didn't make this roster, because he is on the Kyle Shanahan scholarship system, without a doubt. So I was surprised to see him left off this roster. From a special team standpoint, I thought he was going to be one of Kyle's trusted agents, if you will. But this really sounds like Garendo is going to get an awful lot of the run on special teams.
Well, Garendo definitely took Schrader's role. That was clear. I mean, he just stepped right in and said, everything Ricky can do, everything Cody can do, I can kind of do as well. I don't know if that's the truth, but at least from special teams it is. They took a lot of receivers, because Ayuk and Pearsall are on the active roster, but really can't contribute, at least right now. So you got Debo, you got JJ, you got Cowing, who's been fantastic. You got Conley. The guy that I was shocked made it was Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell is awful this summer, man. Ronnie Bell, he didn't get faster. He didn't get bigger. He didn't get better. He got worse. His hands were not as good. He dropped balls. He had a beautiful block in that Saints game where he blocked the guy into the Gatorade, and he's got good ball skills and good hands normally. But that one was surprising, man. A guy who doesn't run all that well, not that big, didn't have a very good summer, and he gets the roster spot. I was surprised by that. I really was. I mean, I like Ronnie Bell, but there's just not a lot of upside there. And most guys get really a whole lot better from year 1 to year 2. But that's because they step into the NFL and then they get bigger and they get stronger and they get faster. But he kind of came into the league, as a son of a college football wide receiver coach, very, very maxed out in a lot of ways. And I've seen regression this summer, but they still kept him. So I don't get that one at all. In fact, if I were the Niners, I would rather cut Ronnie Bell and go find somebody who can really really stretch the field, or a big play guy. Like Kansas City cut Kadarius Toney. I'd much rather have Kadarius Toney than Ronnie Bell. Philly cut Joseph Ngata, who's Ayuk's buddy from Sacramento, who Philly cut. Had a great camp in Philly's camp, but then just got caught up in a numbers game. I'd rather have Joseph Ngata than Ronnie Bell.
I mean, I think I'd rather have Trent Taylor, only because I trust him to not make the mistake I fear Ronnie Bell is always about to make.
But the only thing is that on the return man front, I think they really feel confident in going with Guerrero as their kick returner, and I think they're really confident in going with Jacob Cowing as their punt returner. So I don't know that there's I hear you, he can do those things, but he doesn't do them as well as those guys. I mean, he's not nearly as explosive as those guys. He's safe. I'll say this about Trent Taylor. If you just want someone who's going to catch it, he will catch it. But
by the way, why can't a kick returner and a punt returner be the same guy?
Well, some teams do.
Yeah,
some teams have the same guy.
What does it have to? What's so different?
Devin Hester both?
Yeah.
Was Devin Hester? Was he a punt returner and a kick returner?
Yeah. He had to return everything. Yeah. Listen, when you got one guy who's really good at it, you ask him to do it over and over. By the way, so we don't really go to the chat for breaking news, but it's a day where people are watching our show and they're paying attention to Twitter. Right now, you and I are hosting this show, so we're not on Twitter. I don't believe he works for NFL Network, Larry, but Harry Balzac is saying that
is official.
Yeah, is Womack now with the Colts? So there you go. Our wake up.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Harry Balzac.
He's where that's in there. Oh, it says Kingston's going to the Panthers. So yeah, they're going to lose Jarrett Kingston. They're going to lose. Somebody said Kingston sucks now.
Carlo
losing
Commanders losing Jalen Graham.
Sucks. Who did?
Carlo is reporting Commanders got Jalen Graham.
Yeah, Jesus. See, that's a loss, man. That is a loss. You're losing a really good linebacker there. Bazzi Mian says Larry needs some help for his Kadarius Toney obsession. I know Kadarius Toney's a joker, right? But his nickname at Florida was the human joystick. And this guy is just an electric player. All I'm saying is I don't care if a guy, runs a little hot or has a little problem. It's a rough game played by rough guys. Okay. I mean, and if you can either fight it or you can lean into it. And I like to lean into it. I like Kadarius Toney. I think Kadarius Toney is a good football player. And he's a hell of a lot more talented than Ronnie Bell. That's for damn sure. So I know Joey Nichols says Kadarius Toney's the ultimate head case diva. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But as far as, says Joey says Larry's all pro. Jalen Graham is a goner. So yeah, that sucks. It sucks to lose. But I would say today, just looking at the Niners cuts from yesterday, I would say that if you go down their list and look at their roster, I think you're probably, okay. So of the guys, my guess today is that they would like to bring back maybe Chris Hubbard on the practice squad as a veteran tackle, Eric Saubert to the active roster. I think Trent Taylor gets brought back either to the active roster or to the practice squad. I think Tracy Walker and Rock Ya-Sin are two guys that they'd like to have back. And then I think some of the young guys who clear waivers. You saw Jalen Graham got picked up. Jarrett Kingston got picked up. See, the teams in this league do a really good job of pro personnel, and they know who's good. So, Like Drake Nugent, Tanner Mordecai, Mason Pline. Those are three guys that I'd love to see.
I think
on the
Mason
practice
Pline
squad
is going to be back. I think Mordecai is going to be back, although carrying a fourth. Here's the thing. The NFL should make an exception to carry an emergency quarterback on the practice squad without accounting against the practice squad. Why the NFL makes it so hard to move bodies around in a sport that needs as many bodies as possible. Like, I don't get it.
They will change their rules as soon as they're forced to potentially play a Super Bowl with some less desirable quarterback. Then or a playoff game. Then the rules will change. Until then, do
you think the 49ers come back for Cam Latu, or do you think they're done with him?
Done.
Seen enough.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him a lot this summer. I watched him a lot last summer. I tried to put my finger on exactly what the issue is, and I think I've got it. He just doesn't play the game of football with enough urgency. There's not enough urgency there. He's a laid back, low key kind of a guy. He doesn't have the urgency to bring the kind of fire. I mean, he's 6'5", 245 and athletic as hell. And he got cut. He got cut because he really, his hands are just totally below average. And there's just not a lot of, I don't know. The lack of fire. Maybe the light will go on. It was a very deep tight end class, and they chose Cam Latu. I mean, it's just really very, very disappointing. If you said to me, give me the disappointing thing of the Niners in the last few years, I'm a little disappointed in the drafting. Yep. The 2022 draft outside of Purdy was awful. And this last draft looks like a pretty good draft. But some of the misses, I mean, Danny Gray, they just cut him, 3rd round pick. Cam Latu, they just cut him, 3rd round pick. They had a high grade on Braden Willis. They just cut him. So it's, the Niners have, they traded 3 draft picks for Trey Lance. That obviously hurt. And they've missed on some real high profile picks.
We don't even want to do this, but did you see the game that Trey Lance had this past weekend? It's one of the more remarkable box scores. It's one of the more remarkable box scores in the history of looking at a box score. It really, truly is. Like, everything you need to know about that guy is right there. You clearly have talent. You clearly have a player that cannot hit the field in any situation that actually matters, all at the same time. Like, you said this a couple of weeks ago.
It was everything. You just said it. He was literally everything. It was the good. Hey, I love Trey. Go watch that Cowboy Charger game. I hate Trey. Go watch that Cowboy Charger game. He accounted for like 300 yards. He ran a ton. He made some amazing plays. And yet he has no account of the defenders, no idea where the defenders are lurking. He threw interceptions right to defenders all day. I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
But you are right. If there was ever a poster child for the NFL needs a developmental league, it's that guy. Because clearly he just needs to play portion of his career. No amount
Same
of
with Fields. How about Fields? How's Fields going to get better in Pittsburgh if Russell plays?
He won't.
You know who actually looked good from that draft class this summer? Nobody wants to say it. Nobody's talking about it. Stacy's mom's got it going on. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson actually looked good in Denver this summer. I know Bo Nix got the starting job, but Zach Wilson may have kind of, there's an awful lot of people walking around the last year going, Zach Wilson sucks. He's the worst quarterback of all time. Really? I don't know. He looked pretty good this summer.
There were moments at the end of his New York career where he looked unplayable. I mean, he really was just as lost in the fog as you can be as a quarterback. And look, never give up on a guy until he's reached that second team, because some situations are bad enough to ruin careers, and then you get in another situation and a career blooms. I think that's maybe what we're looking at. Sean Payton is clearly a better coaches of quarterbacks than, a guy like Robert Saleh is. So I just think that he's the right guy to bring out whatever there is in him, and there is a little something in him. Now, is he a starting caliber quarterback? I don't know, but there's a guy who could have a very long, very successful career as a backup quarterback, and who knows if he gets thrust into action because Nix either needs to be sat down or gets hurt. maybe the Denver Broncos then got a little trade piece going forward because they're excited about Nix and have the right to be. He looks good. So,
By the way, there's somebody in the chat here.
Yes.
Big Heck. Yes, my guy Pline made it. Where'd he go? Did he get picked off waivers?
Hold on. Who's
Big Heck? I need a follow-up chat. Who got Mason Pline?
Let's see. So 46 minutes ago is the last time Mayoko tweeted about this. 49ers claimed off waivers. Jared Kingston to the Panthers, Samuel Womack to the Colts, Cody Schrader to the Rams. 49ers were awarded no waiver claims 12 minutes ago from Matt Mayoko.
They say Yannick Ngakoue is out there if the Niners wanted him. That's interesting. That's an interesting name.
What's he got?
Yeah,
left?
Big Hex is yes, my guy Pline made it. So what is he? I don't know what he means by that. Maybe I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Niners Nation looking at their tracker. They've got a practice squad tracker. But I probably should be on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm looking on Twitter right now. I don't see anything about Pline.
There was a list today of the 10 best players that are available, and I'll throw them your way. Listen to these names. It tells you, it's slim pickings. Bailey Zappi, the Patriots quarterback. They cut him. They went with Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and Joe Milton.
Don't need any quarterbacks in this city, so not interested.
Desmond Ridder, CJ Beathard, CJ Beathard, 32 career starts. He was cut. Terrace Marshall, wide receiver, big receiver, can't really run. The one LSU, the one LSU receiver that wasn't awesome. I didn't like Jamar Chase. I didn't want Justin Jefferson. I decided I wanted Terrace Marshall. So much for that. Noah Brown, wide receiver, Texans. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, Kansas City. Greg Stroman, cornerback. Caleb Farley, cornerback. Dante Foreman, running back, who I could see Shanahan liking because he played at University of Texas. He's a big back with a lot of speed. Not that the Niners need a running back, but if they did, I could see them wanting Dante Foreman.
Yeah, no.
So there's your list, and then Kene Nwangwu, a kick returner, as the big names. Those are hardly big names.
Yeah, no, I'm giving you a nod, dog, on every single one of them. I want Trent Williams. That's the big name I'd be interested in if I'm the San Francisco 49ers. I wouldn't be dicking around with any of these back of the roster slap dicks. You need Trent Williams, week 1, New York Jets. I cannot stress this enough. There is nothing more valuable than a franchise quarterback for a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl, and both are in jeopardy off the Trent Williams ain't here fact alone. So,
yeah. I mean,
again, what's the end game? What is Parag goes home and says, honey, I crushed it today. Here's what I did. No one will remember that. No one will ever remember how great that contract was that the Niners got over on Trent Williams. What they will remember is Trent Williams wasn't there week 1 when Brock Purdy got hurt playing against the vaunted New York Jets defensive line. We'll remember that one forever. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, that's the downside of elite tackles. I mean, people like say, well, Brock Purdy saved John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Well, he did to some degree, but if they hadn't traded those 3 picks for Trey Lance, probably 2 of them would have been invested in the offensive line. You're probably not looking at Jake Brendel or Colton McKivitz right now if you didn't make the Trey Lance trade. If you made since you made the Trey Lance trade, you traded all those ones and you lost. And then to me, the 2 moves that really have fucked the Niners, the Trey Lance trade, 3 ones for a guy who can't play dead. And then you got rid of him a couple years later for a 4th. And the Javon Hargrave signing, you depleted all of your depth. You had a many you. You had Ebukam, you had Ridgeway, you had Jimmy Ward, you had Aziz Al-Shaair. You had about 7 different guys that you had to like get rid of to pay Hargrave. And what's Hargrave hasn't done shit. Hargrave's been totally mediocre at best. When I watch Hargrave, I don't see a dominating player. I don't.
Javon
$80 million for him. If I got to hear one more person say the grave digger, the grave digger, the grave digger, did he throw himself in this grave that he dug? I mean, what the hell? Where is he?
Here's the thing. I mean, Hargrave might still in year 2 with the Niners flash a bit more, pop a bit more. Was he worth the investment at the cost of all those other players? It doesn't feel that way. And the indictment isn't that they then went and signed Javon Hargrave for all that money, is then they went back out in their next first few free agent decisions this year, they're signing D tackles. Right.
Yeah, here comes Malik Collins because they had to have somebody.
Right. Here comes Jordan Elliott because Hargrave isn't quite the 3-down D tackle that we thought he was.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
But I'm not giving up on him. I'm not giving up on him either.
Well, he needs a bounce back year. I mean,
he's not devoid of value, but he needs to show it. Again, it has to happen on the field.
I don't know. I mean, I would say Hargrave had 1.5, maybe 2.5 good games, something like that. Well, it was just he was okay in a handful of games.
How about
the rest of the time? He was pretty.
I'm not here to argue with you because I couldn't even tell you which those games were. I don't remember the single Javon Hargrave standout moment in the year. I don't remember it. Did it happen? Did we get one?
I just don't like the fact that they kind of, in a sport where depth does matter, they just basically said, we don't need any of our depth. Ebukam, all these guys, we don't need these guys. And the worst part is I agreed with the assessment at the time. I really felt like the Niners, after Kinlaw got bounced around in that Eagles game, I really felt like, you know what, they got to get a big time interior rush guy. So I was all on board with Hargrave. I was the guy saying that day, man, can you believe, I can't wait to see, how are you going to block this line with Hargrave, the gravedigger, and Bosa? And then he comes here and he's all right.
Yeah. No, it looked really good on paper. Really good on paper. It just has not happened on the field yet. Again, NFL's top 100 player list for the second straight years. The Niners lead the NFL with 8 players. They've got 5 in the top 25. Kittle, Warner, Bosa, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey. Trent Williams not here right now, obviously. But, they're really top heavy. And I'm just going to tell you that there's no way around this fact, Larry. And you could say, well, this fact applies to any NFL team. And technically you'd be right. But I think it applies doubly to the 49ers. They're just allowed no injuries this year. What happened? Tanner Mordecai's back? What happened, Larry?
Matt Barrows is tweeting the 49ers plan to add quarterback Tanner Mordecai to their practice squad later today.
You know what? Super Bowl.
Championship.
I'll see
Championship.
I'll see you in New Orleans. Mordecai will lead
Mordecai to the Big Easy. Super Bowl Sunday. He's going to put the ring on the finger. I'm glad he's back. You know what was on TV last night, David? You know what was on TV?
Who?
Tanner Mordecai in the ReliaQuest Bowl against LSU. I watched it last night. It was 5 weeks after he broke his throwing hand. He plays against LSU in the ReliaQuest Bowl. He threw for 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Got sacked, though, in 2 of the last 3 plays of the game. LSU came away with the win.
Yeah.
LSU beat him, but, dude, 5 weeks after a broken hand, and the guy played in a bowl game that did not matter. We're not talking about the national semi. We're talking about the ReliaQuest Bowl. And you know what? The guy threw for 378 and looked great.
First of all,
he looked great.
How dare you? All ReliaQuest bowls matter a lot, Larry. First of all, shame on you.
It's not like the Duke Mayo Bowl where you get submerged in mayo.
The Pop-Tart Bowl. The Pop-Tart goes into the toaster. That was incredible.
By the way, that is the grossest thing in sports is the Mayo Bowl where the coach gets covered in mayo.
And by the way,
I mean, that's the last thing of all the food items out there that people throw at people. The last thing I would want to do is be covered in mayonnaise.
I'm a mayonnaise guy. I like mayonnaise. I think
I'm
mayonnaise
a mayonnaise guy.
I think mayonnaise is an important condiment. I like mayonnaise on my sandwiches. People
What's
who claim
something that you like mayonnaise on that other people don't?
Oh, like just a sandwich. I like mayonnaise on my cheeseburger.
See, I can't go mayonnaise on a burger, but I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little bit of mayo on like a little piece of chicken.
Like a BLT? Got to have mayo on that. A lot of
Definitely
mayo
on the BLT.
So
I don't like tuna. How about tuna? Do you like tuna?
I do like a tuna fish sandwich. Yeah, you got to have
with maybe some celery, some red onion.
Yes, but
you got a little bit of mayo, but not too much mayo. You want some mayo as a binder.
Yeah. Chicken salad, need some mayo there. I'm pro mayo, and I would say that most people who say that they're anti-mayo, they're also pro dip, and all dips are about 80% mayonnaise. So again, it's a lie that we tell ourselves to sound cool.
I don't like sour cream, and I don't like. My mother used to make fruit salad. Okay, now, but the fruit salad she would make was not like a fruit salad that has just all fruit, which is what the kind of fruit salad I like. She would make a apple salad that actually had mayonnaise in it.
No.
And I would sit there and I'd be like, Mom, she's like, well, you like apples and you like mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise on apples. I don't want a mayonnaise-based salad dressing in any way that's touching fruit. I had to draw the line there.
So my grandmother used to put chunks of apple in her chicken salad. And that would make me not eat the chicken. I'd say, what is this apple in here for? What are you doing, Grandma? So that was I don't like mayonnaise in my fruit. But again, I'm pro-man. I'm pro-man. I feel like we've talked an awful lot about mayonnaise here for no reason other than, it would, as pro-mayo as I am, I would not want to come in contact with a gallon of it being dumped on me. That's very gross. I wouldn't want, because you can't just wipe it off. You got to go right to the shower. You can feel like your pores clogging, right? With a little mayo on you. You're going to get some zits there to get mayo on your skin.
By the way, the Niners practice squad tracker, Tay Martin on the practice squad. Chase Lucas, according to Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, on the practice squad. Tanner Mordecai, according to Matt Barrows from The Athletic, on the practice squad.
Thank God for Larry Krueger.
Tracy Walker, according to Shefty, is on the practice squad. I like Tracy Walker. I think Tracy Walker was a nice little pickup. Joining other teams, Jalen Graham went to the Commanders, as Damon said. Jarrett Kingston goes to the Panthers. Cody Schrader to the Rams. Samuel Womack.
Ben Barch is back. Ben Barch.
Did I tell you last year?
Kevin Krueger is reporting Mason Pline on the practice squad per me.
What?
Kevin Krueger has his own source.
Well, Mason Pline's agent is a friend of ours.
Well, then
he's a friend of ours now. Well, he wasn't a friend of ours. I don't want you to think that I've been going out touting him all summer because he's like a personal family friend. He's our friend now because we've been touting him.
Roster insider trading that we need to file with the SEC. He's been
listen to this.
The roster on his YouTube show for his friends this whole time.
Put yourself in the position of Mason Pline. Okay. You were a basketball player at Ferris State. You transferred to Furman. You're playing basketball. You want to have a football career as a tight end. You work out, and the guy's in great shape. Shows up, gets signed by the Niners. They didn't play. He looked great, like immediately great. I walked up to, and you can go look at the interview. It's on my YouTube channel when we sat down with the coaches. I sat down with Brian Fleury. I said, Brian, dude, you guys, I want to talk about this kid Pline. Like before Kittle, before all these other guys, I'm like, I want to talk about Pline. His eyes kind of opened. And I said, I read the story on Pline. I go, this guy's a basketball player. This guy's got big time vertical. He's a mechanical engineering major. He's super smart. He's got 10.5-inch hands. I go, this is an awesome prospect on paper. And he looks at me and he goes, I agree with everything you just said. He's like, he's got a lot to learn, But guess what? Because he's so smart, he's learning it at a really, really fast rate. We love him. I love what I'm seeing. They buried him. They didn't play him in any preseason game except for just in garbage time. They threw him no passes. And so his agent literally called Kev and was like, "Do you have any film on him from practice that you can send me?" So we sent him a bunch of his practice film to his agent, because his agent, Damon, how would you like to be the kid's agent and your job is to get him a job? And the Niners didn't play him in any television games for more than a play here or a play there. They canceled the joint practices with the Saints, so no other team has seen this kid. And the Niners just pickle jarred him and got him on the practice squad. And in some ways, I admire them for their stealth, delivery of this kid to the practice squad. I'm telling you right now, Mason Pline can play. He's 6'8". He's got great hands. I didn't see him drop I'm not saying this just for the hell of it. I did not see him drop a single pass all summer in any drill. He's 6'8", great hands, super smart, big hands. I think he's going to be a Niner for a lot of years.
Why wouldn't they have just added him to the roster? Why go through the Tungus?
He's so deficient as a blocker that then it would just be he'd have to take Tongus's role. But I think Tongus had a good summer.
Let me tell you, this team's going to miss Charlie.
No, Tongus can't block at all.
Right. So So I would take the guy who was bigger who can't block than the guy who is smaller and can't block, because maybe just size is hard to get around.
Also, I think, I could talk to Fleury more about it, but I think there's probably 6 or 7 real key elements of tight end play that they feel like he needs work on, and they just love the idea of redshirting him. I would say by November, you're going to see a player that's activated. I think Pline's a player. I think he's a red zone threat. I think he's really, in this system, you better be smart. And you better be really football smart, because the tight end has a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, a lot to learn, a lot to memorize. Fullback and tight end, man, you better be smart. And then look at the Niners. They went with Coletto last year, who was also a mechanical engineering major. He got cut, by the way, yesterday by Pittsburgh. And they went with Juice, who went to Harvard, right? And then this kid Pline really is smart. So
and then they got Kittle, who went to the Harvard of Iowa.
That's right.
So look, Kittle's the one guy who is going to cover all of your, tight end problems until you start running, 2 tight end sets, and then you're deficient. The 49ers ran a ton of 2 tight end sets last year. So it's funny to me that they would be caught without a good blocking tight end. It's very odd to me that 12 days before the season starts, the best blocker on the team isn't on the team. Williams, it's very odd to me that the best blocking wide receiver, maybe in all of football, who they have, is also not on the team, even though theoretically he's on the roster because of the hold in. It's really weird. It's really weird. I think that the 49ers have done as much as humanly possible to undercut their own early season success, and that might be the reason why they don't have the type of year that we're hoping that they might have. Larry, they're 2 injuries away from being that team that was in the playoffs last year to not in the playoffs. They really are.
By the way, today is a really exciting day. Is there any news, Damon, on Drake Nugent? Have you seen anything on Nugent?
No.
Okay, so that's a name I'm looking for. I want him back. And Leon Sandcastle. That's a great name. Leon. I may use that as my alias when I check into hotels from now on.
That is that is an alias in a movie. That's from a movie. I don't know where we got. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Leon Sandcastle. Larry, Raiders cutting Byron Young. Should we go get him? Yes. But this Byron Young is not the Tennessee Byron Young. This is the Alabama Byron Young, who actually had a sack in that Niner game. I love Byron Young. I absolutely would sign Byron Young. Who are the Niners? Who's the Niners backup defensive tackle? Who did they go with? They went with Givens, right?
I don't know. By the way, so Leon Sandcastle, just to follow up there, was an actor in a memorable Super Bowl commercial where Leon Sandcastle was like a guy going through the combine, but he wasn't a football player. He was just a guy named Leon Sandcastle going through the combine.
Okay. So
someone said it was Deion Sanders. It is not Deion Sanders.
Someone says Adrian says Kevin Krueger is the future.
I believe the children are the future. Teach them well, let them lead the way.
Did Burford make the team? Did you see? Is Burford on the Niners list? Someone says Kingston's better than Burford, so that probably means Burford made it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Tobin Ernst says Nugent is back. That would be a great one too. You know, I don't know if you follow Coach Yak, but Coach Yak had the breakdown, the PFF breakdown in a tweet the other day for Nugent. Nugent allowed like one pressure all summer. I mean, he really looked good at center.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they got him back if they did. I'm not as bummed about losing Cody Schrader as I would have been about 3 weeks ago.
By the way, Spencer Burford, yes, it's Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, Jalen Moore, Nick Zakel, Spencer Burford, John Feliciano. That's your
and Feliciano. That's the other guy. Feliciano, by the way, will be put on IR today, and they'll create another roster spot for somebody else. Big Hex is they hid Mason Pline for a reason. Pline is going to complement Kittle in the blocking game. I keep saying this. Yeah, they definitely hit him. And I wonder how much of it was because I was like so hot to trot on him early on that they're like, yeah, you know what? We can't let this. Do we want to protect this guy? No, we don't. Let's just hide him from everybody else. And then the fact that the Niners didn't do any joint practices with the Saints, made it so nobody really saw him. We got this one, Evan Anderson to the practice squad. I like Evan Anderson. I thought he had a very good preseason. Someone said Randy Gregory update. From what I heard about Randy Gregory, he was AWOL with the Buccaneers. So I don't know.
I'm sorry, Leon Sandcastle was Dion. I'm down to Leon Sandcastle. Freaking rabbit hole here, Larry. I can't get out of it. I can't get out of my Leon Sandcastle rabbit hole. It was, I think they had Dion do the commercial. Then they couldn't have Dion make all Leon Sandcastle appearances. So I think they hired a guy kind of looked like Dion as Leon Sandcastle. There might've been more than one, but it was Dion who ran the combine stuff. There you go. Okay. Never mind. I'm sorry. Back to Mason Pline. Yes.
He's back. Mason Pline is back. People are asking him a lot about Rock Ya-Sin. To me, it was I didn't like the fact that Rock Ya-Sin and Womack got cut. I would have rather seen Womack come back, but I'll take Rock Ya-Sin back too. I mean, I thought Rock Ya-Sin played really well this summer.
Wasn't Randy Gregory cut? Would you be interested? Would you be interested?
He was AWOL though. He never showed up this summer, and so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Randy Gregory. Also, let's be completely honest. Did Randy Gregory get a lot done last year with the Niners? I felt like he was a little underpowered in this on this D line. I mean, I definitely think, like, to me, the list of things to do today is maybe pick off a player or two that you liked from somebody else, like, maybe Frank Gore Jr. I wouldn't mind seeing Frank Gore Jr. That's one name I kind of like. Re-sign a few of your guys, Pline, Mordecai. Those guys were key. I think today, coming up with a couple of defensive linemen to me, I mean, I don't know how you're going to find them. You may have to trade for them today, but they need to add one significant defensive lineman, preferably a defensive end today in some kind of a trade or signing. I think that's important because they're a little too thin on their defensive line right now. And especially with Floyd dinged up. Oh, Jonathan Garvin's going to the practice squad. There you go. Oh, by the way, Fear the Phantom says just Sam's Chowder House. If you see top and bottom, The Wake Up will be brought to you by Sam's Chowder House, officially starting in September, which is just a couple days away. But that's why you see Sam's Chowder House logo on the top and the bottom of the screen, and they will be a sponsor of Wake Up throughout the football season. We got this one from Bronson. Frank Gore Jr. is going to the Buffalo Bills practice squad. So I can stop that dream. So there you go. But they need a defensive end. Niners need a defensive end bad. I like the guy from Army, but there's probably a couple other guys out there that will be interesting. I'll say this. I went through every team's list. I saw so few defensive ends. I mean, it just really shows how pass rush is just at such a premium in today's NFL. The only defensive ends of note that were cut, Jannard Avery, who had a big sack against the Niners when he was with the Eagles a few years ago. Other than that, I don't really see too many defensive ends of any.
What you're telling me is teams have been stacking and hoarding really good defensive ends all around the NFL, and Trent Williams hasn't been signed to a contract? Is that what you're telling me?
Carl Lawson was cut by Dallas. Teron Jackson was cut by Philly. But there's not very many guys. I mean, you're serious. Charles Snowden cut by the Raiders. Maybe you could make a trade. There's a lot of talk that maybe the New York Giants may trade Azeez Ojulari. That might not be bad. I don't know. But if the Niners lose Nick Bosa, it could be week 1, fourth quarter of week 1, and you might be staring at a Robert Beal, Jonathan Garvin tandem coming off the edge. That is not Super Bowl caliber. Not.
And neither is, Jalen Moore at left tackle. That ain't Super Bowl caliber. That makes that entire offensive line function a lot differently. It puts Brock Purdy in an amount of jeopardy you would never want him in. I just don't see what the gain is for the 49ers to win a negotiation with Trent Williams when the rest of the league is like, yeah, pay him whatever he wants. I mean, every smart person in football is like, there are a few, there are a few guys where literally it's like fuck around and find out. Like I know it's a next man up league, but for some men, there is no next man up to replace that guy. And I would say that Trent Williams is one of those guys, which is why any amount of, how about this? If Trent Williams is going to play for 3 more years, the 49ers should want him to play left tackle for them for 3 more years. So I really don't understand what the dickering of price is about this guy. He's got $77.3 million left on his 3-year deal, with 20.8 this year coming, 23.4 next year coming. Oh, we'll just guarantee you 50 right here. Just guarantee you 50 over the next 2 years for sure. Done.
Just get it done. Just get it done. Because, I mean, it's like you have this really great house, but that you built, and you put all this just really expensive furniture in the house. But you didn't buy a front door or a garage door. But they're coming, but it's going to be a month. You know what I mean? It's like, well, wait a second. I've got all this expensive furniture in my house. I don't have a front door. I don't have a garage door. I have no way to keep the outside out and the inside in.
ATX7 says idiot Damon. Okay, go. You know what? Go play your fucking season without Trent Williams. Go. You do that. Tell me how that goes for you. Get back to me in December. Let me know why you missed the playoffs. Was it because Brock Purdy got hurt?
Nobody's arguing that they should go without
Christian McCaffrey got hurt. Which important player out of your backfield doesn't have a career or a season that's sort of depending on what Trent Williams gives you? I mean, Christian McCaffrey running to the left-hand side was an 8-yard gain every single time he did it all last year. That goes away. Christian McCaffrey's really good. Without Trent Williams, he is not nearly as good as you remember. I promise you that. Without Brandon,
my whole thing, I'm not as exercised about Trent Williams because I just don't really believe there's any chance that Trent Williams will not be there for Jets. I just think it seems like when and we'll talk to Lynch later today. We'll get more skinny on these guys from Lynch on both those holdouts. But I just get the sense when the dialogue talks about Trent, it always seems like we're having great dialogue. It's like, it seems like there's two distinctive different tones between Ayuk's holdout and Trent's holdout. And yet you would think that the Ayuk holdout, because it's a hold in and he's at all the meetings and they're seeing him every day, you would think that there would be all this kumbaya warmth with Ayuk and maybe like, I don't know about Trent, but instead it's the exact opposite. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's just all PR, winning the press conference, getting through the moment nonsense. I don't really put much credo in anything. The Niners can play it as cool as they want to about Trent Williams. Without him, they're smart enough football men to know that they should all be shitting their pants.
But that's if they, I don't think people are. I don't think the team is or the fans are, because I don't really believe that anybody believes that he's not going to be there. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, you're right. We should be way, way more concerned about Trent than about Ayuk. Heck, you could throw Jacob Cowing out there and get a reasonable facsimile of Ayuk. You don't have anybody who can give you anything that resembles a replication of what Trent Williams offers. So yeah, Trent is more vital to their efforts than Ayuk. But it's like, almost seems like the Ayuk thing is a bigger story, because it just feels like the Trent thing's gonna get done, where the Ayuk thing just, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if the Ayuk thing's gonna get done.
Garofalo this morning, NFL Network says they're not a fraction of an inch closer on either contract as they were the last time he told us they weren't a fraction of an inch closer. There doesn't seem to be any progress made happening in either direction.
I wonder who that source is that's saying that.
I wonder who it is too, right?
Probably
I wonder
the
who
agent.
it is too. This is Sean. Sean says, chill, Damon. It's still preseason. No, it isn't, Sean. You are now in gearing up for week 1 mode. Week 1 begins in 12 days for the 49ers, and that's only because they play on Monday Night Football. For the rest of the world of football, it's 11 days, unless you're playing that Thursday nighter. So, there's the last thing. I mean, I don't want to push back, because people, Sean, he goes after me and says whatever he wants, and I'm all for it. And go after me as much as you want. Go after Damon as much as you want. We're here so you guys can go after us. But find me the guy who does what we do, who's super great, who's always chill. Show me the talk show host that you love that's always chill. What I love about that guy,
show me the content creator who's just awesome. You just can't miss his takes, but he's just constantly chill. Chill is not kind of part of the gig.
There's only one guy who ever delivered solid content while being completely detached from giving a fuck one way or the other.
Who's that?
That was my former partner, Ray Ratto. Ray Ratto,
the contrarian.
Ray Ratto had spite for the sports that he covered. He was angry to be there. Yet
I loved when you would ask Ray questions that you knew would set him off.
Oh, and I did.
Like Ray, who's your favorite player? Who's the player that you really would wear his jersey? Because Ray would never wear a jersey of anybody. I have disdain for the idea of even wearing a jersey. I'd rather wear a jersey of the Vancouver Canucks scouting director.
Yeah, there'd be a million Winnipeg Jets he'd be willing to wear. Like if you could have offered him a Timu Solani jersey, he would have put it on. But a George Kittle jersey, I'd rather die.
We got this one, by the way, from G San. He says, Krug, do you have any lists with left tackles available at this moment? I mean, just curiosity. Well, first of all,
no,
I wouldn't be me if I didn't have an extensive list. So yeah,
not a list of left tackles. That was that was a list for sure, but it was not a list of available left tackles.
This is the list of available left tackles. Yeah.
And Niners can sign any one of these guys.
Right, any one of them, and they're all viable and they're all damn good. Okay, let me give you a couple. Let me give you a couple names out there that are tackles that are offensive linemen that were cut that I think are pretty good. The Eagles cut my guy Gottlieb Ayadaisy from Maryland. Had a really good combine. Really good combine.
Yeah, great combine.
Got Lee by a daisy. Like him quite a bit. Dylan McMahon also cut by the Eagles. Eagles obviously have a pretty good offensive line. They're cutting decent offensive linemen. Who else? Let me look down my list.
Steve-O is claiming that that's not your penmanship. Well, that's 100% not Larry's writing.
No, that absolutely is. Here, I'll show.
Let me see it. I can recognize Larry's writing. Yeah, I would say, Larry, your penmanship, it's a little feminine.
What?
I'd say
feminine. I'm very messy. I'm actually kind of a messy writer.
I would say that there are very dramatic lines throughout that. That is a feminine pen hand, if I've ever seen one.
Okay, so this is who I'm going with. Also, a couple more names. The Seahawks cut Curtis McClendon Curtis, who was with the Raiders last year. I liked him a year ago. Big offensive tackle who can play right tackle, right guard. The sleeper offensive lineman, Seattle cut Garrett Greenfield. Garrett Greenfield played at South Dakota State this last year with Mason McCormick, who went to the Steelers in the draft. Garrett Greenfield set the record for vertical at the combine for an offensive lineman. I think he had a 38-inch vertical at 318 pounds. So here you're talking about a super athletic offensive lineman who played right tackle next to Mason McCormick at the FCS level. I love Garrett Greenfield. That's one guy that I absolutely, if I were the Niners, I would try to get Garrett Greenfield. Who else? Tayshawn Manning was cut by Baltimore. He's a big hulking guard who can run block. That's one. Not a lot of tackles. I'll say that. I'm looking at my list here. Not a lot of tackles. In fact, hardly any, if none. So there you go.
Imagine if your choices were you can have no good tackles or Trent Williams, and you would choose no good tackles.
Yeah. Jack Anderson. Jack Anderson's a center from Carolina who was really good at Houston. Tough guy. So, I mean, there aren't any tackles. Really. I mean, I gave you Garrett Greenfield. That would be the tackle that I would be after. Seattle cut him. He's athletic. He's talented. He showed up at the combine. He showed that even though he played at the FCS level, he was plenty athletic enough. Same with McCormick. Really well coached, really tough guy, good mover. That would be the guy that I would sign, Garrett Greenfield. Okay, so there you go. Let me go down the list here. We got this one from Hassan W. You guys are effing great.
Thank you.
You had said we were effing awful. I probably would have passed it up. Taylor Rich says Damon Bruce is awesome. Look at that.
Wow. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that.
It's just unbelievable. People are banging on you about the Purdy injury. Damon, noise check on Purdy injury, please.
Look, I think it's pretty clear. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but to me, it would be just desserts for Kyle's massive ego that if whatever prevented him from getting the players that he needs onto his roster directly resulted in the entire season going up in smoke before it even begins. There's a part of me, the evil Damon part of me, that would say, fuck around and find out. Didn't you? Didn't you? Didn't you guys try to be the best at math and football when no one gives a fuck about math and all we're here to care about is football? Like, congratulations. You won the abacus, but on the football field, you guys missed the playoffs. I would drop a massive fuck all of you too smart for your own good sons of bitches on the 49ers that were willing to catch that compliment. Are you kidding me? I've never seen a team do more to scuttle its own Super Bowl chances by dicking around with decimal points.
Well, this is the challenge, though. This is the challenge. I'll say this. If Parag can squeeze 3 extra good players onto the roster through all these, tough negotiations, I get it. I understand. There's value to a team to have a Parag. But, man, when you are starting to other teams get these things done on time. How come the 49ers can't? I guess I would start my comment. I mean, that might be the question that I have to ask John Lynch today, which is going to be viewed as hostile. That's going to be viewed as a very hostile question. But I think that question kind of has to be asked, because guess what? The Titans don't have this problem. The Saints don't have this problem. The Rams don't have this problem. The Falcons don't have this problem. No other team in the league seems like they have this problem. Why is it the 49ers have this problem? Why? Is it simply because you've got so many good players? Or is it because you're trying to win every negotiation? Or I don't know. I mean, I'm literally asking, why does it seem like the 49ers have more difficulty signing their players than other teams do? Is it a product of Brock and his contract that's looming? Is it a product of the depth of the talent on the roster? I mean, is it Parag being, I got to win every negotiation? I'd like some insight and some opinion from somebody in the know on why the Niners always seem like they're involved in these late summer high profile negotiations.
Well,
is it worth it?
I don't know. It's like they're a very conservative franchise. They really are, in the style of play that Kyle coaches and the amount that they run as opposed to throw the ball. They're a conservative franchise. And I think that they go about business in a conservative way, which at the end of their business day, more often than not, gets the job done. Like, I'm not here to say that the Niners are incompetent nincompoops, but on this topic and in this year, I mean, I cannot believe the way that they have gone out of it. Feels like they've gone way out of their way to make sure what should have been a smooth offseason was as bumpy as possible. And I don't understand the logic, the reasoning. I don't know what the X marks the spot is. Let me tell you that there is no amount of money to be gained or saved or spent this year that won't come out in the wash in 2025 eventually. 2025 will get here, and there's no way around the headache that will be. So the easiest way to approach that headache is we took the aspirin that's called a Lombardi Trophy the year before because we finally did it. They're not getting closer to winning a championship. They're about to be getting further away from it. So to me, it's just
I don't know about that. Do you really believe that?
I think that I think that they are getting older. I think that the league is officially coming for them.
First of all, everybody is getting older.
Right. But not the Houston Texans.
I mean, everybody's getting older. And the Niners are not particularly old.
Or Green Bay Packers is getting older would be incorrect.
But first of all, everybody by definition is getting older. But realistically, tell me, where's the age?
Look, here's the thing.
Where's the age on this roster?
What they do have,
Trent.
What they do have is the quarterback and coach combination that all good teams need to be built around. I really believe that they got that. Well, they
young quarterback, young head coach,
and they better believe in that so much, Larry, that maybe this is the year they're going to start running the experiment. How much can Brock do when the talent around him starts to fade away? Because that's the situation he's going to. Everything that we've been
unless they hit in the draft. I mean, if they hit, you're right. If they don't hit in the draft more consistently than they've hit thus far, then yes, Brock Purdy is going to have to get it done with less. It really, and it's like somebody asked me yesterday, do you think Adam Peters was overrated? And I said, why do you say that? They said, well, they look at their draft this year and he wasn't involved, and look at the draft they had. And I'm like, well, one, he was there for most of the time. He went to the Commanders in February. The draft was in April. So most of the draft cycle he spent evaluating for the Niners. So I don't know if this last draft would be the draft I would point to, because he had a hand in it. I guarantee you. So there's that. But I don't know. I mean, the 49ers have to hit better in the draft than they've done. They're not hit. They have, especially in the first round. I mean, this thing will come to a crashing end if they don't start hitting on their first and second round
And look,
picks.
this last draft looks like it was a good draft, but we haven't seen a single
I don't
one
know.
of these
Was
rookies
it?
in the game that actually matters yet. So let's
Ricky
not
Pearsall? You feel
throwing
really
each other.
do Niner fans feel good about Ricky Pearsall in the first round right now? They
I
shouldn't.
don't think you can feel good, but I don't think that you can damn it either and say it's a bust because we don't know.
No,
we
but
don't know.
to this moment,
Right.
he's running around in a blue jersey on a team that wears red.
Right. And to this moment, as excited you are as about Dominic Pooney. Dominic Pooney has yet to see an actual NFL snap that mattered come across his face mask. It's going to happen. And it's
But
going
at
to
least
happen.
he's playing. He's out there balling, and he's playing
Right,
really
looks
well.
Good. Looks good. But there's a lot of guys who have had look good preseasons and regular season kick their ass. And that happens with rookies often.
Yeah,
So,
no, it doesn't. It does. It does. But I think I think Pooney's going to be. I was really excited about this offensive line this summer because I thought with Pooney, Kingston, and Nugent, I felt like they hit on three players. Now they lost Kingston. They obviously have Pooney. Did they lose Nugent? Somebody in the chat says they lost Nugent, but I didn't see that on any of the things I'm looking at. Does anybody have any information on Drake Nugent? Because that, to me, Drake Nugent would be a really nice player to get back on the practice squad. But I don't see him listed here on the practice squad. Has anybody in the stream got any information on the whereabouts of Drake
I'm
Nugent?
looking right now. I don't see anything.
We got this one. Don Michio. Larry, I need a hoodie with your logo as huge as possible. The one on the shop is too small. I gotta rep my favorite two hosts. Damon, when is your merch store opening up? It's coming soon, right? Love you guys.
It is going to be coming. I was actually just talking to Kevin Krueger about this the other day, about what I need to do.
We can get Damon merch by tonight.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Seriously.
He said it's pretty easy for me to do, but the plan is for it to all be up and happening around the holidays, right? I mean, this is when people really do their shopping. So by Thanksgiving,
by November,
merch
yeah,
will be
merch.
happening.
Yeah, and
the greatest
Don,
logo in YouTubing right there. Look at that logo. That's a great logo.
Don,
by the way, you remember?
I'm not sure what sizes we offer, but I will go check after the show in what sizes. I typically would want them to cover maybe double XL, but maybe do you want a triple XL? Maybe send a note, Don, what size you're looking for. So when I touch base with Kev after the show, we can make sure that we get some in your size. So Don, if you could throw it in the chat, if you could, what size you're probably looking for, a 2X, maybe a 3X. I thought we sold 2X. There might not have any 3X.
I think you're reading his comment incorrectly.
Uh-oh.
I don't think he's worried about size of shirt as much as he is size of logo on the shirt.
Wait, I need a hoodie with your logo as huge as possible.
He didn't say I need your logo hoodie as huge as possible. He needs the logo as huge. Maybe he wants the one on the shop is too small. He wants more Krugerific logo on his.
I gotcha. Okay. Good. I'm glad Damon cleared that up.
Here, Larry, I think he's basically saying you got a nice chest. You need bigger titties.
Yeah. There you go. We can always lean on Damon for the interpretation. So Don, thanks for supporting the show. I will talk to Kev about seeing if we can give you what you seek as far as merchandise. And
which Golden Girl is most like your personality? I'm definitely a Rose.
Rose? Who's the slut?
Oh, that was
Roz?
yeah, that was no. What was her name? Blanche.
Blanche. All right. Wait a second. Alec says, so BA is reporting to practice today. Practice is at 2 or 3 o'clock. So I'll be down there this afternoon. I'll tell you what I see. And I'll if I can see BA running around, I will get images and I will put them out quick.
You'll send him to you'll send him to his agent so he can see pictures of him practicing.
Exactly. Joe Dilly. I like that name. Joe Dilly. Krug, love your show. And I'm a Steelers fan. LOL, Damon, your words speak truth. The Niners will be their only downfall if this isn't handled soon. Do we think they're looking ahead to next season? No, they're definitely not looking ahead to next season. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? I mean, it's like, once again, you say to your kids on Christmas Eve, "Hey guys, we're skipping Christmas this year, but next year we're going to get double the gifts."
By the way, everyone,
See how that
please
flies.
subscribe to Wake Up with Rose and Blanche.
Okay, we got this one from Ramelia. Of course, Ramelia. Do you know Ramelia, Damon?
I do. Yes, I've
Ramelia
seen.
is a big Rams guy. He
Yes,
says, "Great stream, Larry and Bruce. Despite that, I'm excited about the rise of the Rams this year. Both Cowherd and Nick Wright have the Rams winning the NFC Championship, the NFC West.
I don't think that.
Well, there
that
you go.
far
Those
away.
guys are jackasses, so there's no chance of that happening. So
No,
I
I'm going to tell you right now that the chances of the 49ers winning the NFC West again this year mathematically just are not very good. The 49ers are trying to become the first team to win
Really?
3 straight NFC West titles since the Legion of Boom did it 4 years in a row between 2004 and 2007. So what the 49ers have in front of them, there ain't nothing easy about it. The 49ers are not appointed as the nothing could possibly go wrong, world-beating, pencil them in for 14 wins right now level of football team that you might think they are. They're not even close to that. So,
more importantly, much more importantly, third string all pro says Larry has a better logo. I don't know, man. I mean,
his logo. Look at that.
My logo's up here in the corner.
Yeah, any logo that's got that on it.
There we go. There's my logo. And then we'll throw Damon in here. Wait, where is the logo? Oh, there it is.
It's on a sticker. It's unfocused right now.
But don't you have a thing with the logo on it too? A sign or a light or something?
I actually got a football helmet coming, Larry, with this on the side. Nice. It's going to go right behind. It's going to look good. But
nice. Somebody told me yesterday. Oh, I ran into the great Paulie Mack and Tony Ryan yesterday in Marin County at Sam's Chatterhouse at Pig and a Pickle, and they said that they both commented that they really liked your set. Well, so tell Damon we really like his set.
I have feng shuied the hell out of this set. Jillian's done more to make me look better behind me than I could actually do. She's really good at designing whatever you see there behind me. Just random. You were at Pig and the Pickle and McCaffrey and
no. Of course, we met for lunch because I'm, right. I think, I'm trying to, a lot of people that are considering going to the YouTube space reach out to guys like yourself and me and others, Grant, Lombardi, who knows, any number of people, and have lots of questions, lots of concerns, lots of questions, and that kind of thing. So I was just trying to be a decent guy and point some guys who are looking for kind of a new, trying to point Paulie in the right direction.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy who got totally jobbed, but what he did get, which neither you and I got, was like a really good severance package.
Yeah.
So like he can lay back in the mix and sort of figure it out. But I told him, I was like, hey man, the right time to start your YouTube channels today.
Exactly. That's what I told him too. And we talked a little bit about it. He had lots of questions. Don Michio says, Damon, you are correct. He says, correct, Damon. The t-shirt logo size is perfect. The hoodie logo size is too small. Thanks, guys. I'm just loud and proud when it comes to you guys. Hey, Don, I'll talk to Kev after the show. We can go into the store and see what merchandise they offer and change it around a little bit. So we'll look into that after the show, Don. Appreciate
Grow the logo, baby.
The
Grow the logo. People want it bigger.
Yeah, seriously. This guy says Rams 1, Niners 2, Cardinals 3, Seahawks 4. I would go Niners 1. Probably Seahawks 2, Cardinals 3, Rams 4. I was hotter on the Rams early in the year, but I looked at the Rams and I don't like the depth. And I just think by the time you get to, their backup quarterback behind Stafford, what do they got? They got Stetson Bennett.
Larry, we're being watched in Russia, Dagestan, Russia. Baby
Okay.
Arm Brock Wednesday. Love the show, fam. Watching from Russia. All right.
There you
I'll
go.
tell you, there's no radio signal that reaches Russia. So that's awesome. Thank you very, very much.
We're
And
hot on the streets of Dagestan. I mean,
big in Dagestan.
we're if you're anybody in Dagestan, you're all about. There's a buzz in Dagestan for Plus Mania.
For Wake Up. There's
the
actually
Crude
a
Show.
chartered flight from Dagestan landing just to go to Sam's Chowder House, I heard. That's how big the show is out there.
Well, because of the time separation, it's actually called a goodnight show in Dagestan. We're waking up there saying goodnight, everybody.
Let's get into the chats, Larry. It's almost 11 o'clock.
Supers.
My goodness.
I know we're rolling here. Here we go. We got this one from Oli Kao. He says, Ayuk to Pittsburgh for Freiermuth and draft picks. If I got to see one more phantom Ayuk trade,
no,
I'm gonna lose it. Ray Rogers. Okay.
I don't want someone hurt. I was just giving an example. Jesus Christ, you're all such pussies for a football season being right around the corner.
Oli K. Says Denver O-line during the Super Bowl were all low draft picks and free agents. Ricky Williams. So what defensive end can they trade for? I wanted Judon. I mentioned Aziz Al-Shair, or I mentioned Aziz Ojulari for the New York Giants. I think he's available. Really, it's going to be very tough sledding, but to find somebody. But I would say Carl Lawson is available right now. I like Teron Jackson. Now, you say, who's Teron Jackson? Teron Jackson played defensive end at Coastal Carolina. My buddy Rick Mueller scouted him and recruited him there. Had a good start to his career. He's a backup guy with the Eagles. The Eagles are loaded, and the Eagles have had a lot of talent. Teron Jackson can play. He absolutely can play. And to pick him off the Eagles would be nice. And you don't have to trade for him. You can just sign him.
Hold on. Look at this, Larry. Flying out for the Jets game, going to Sam's on 9-10. There you go.
Look at that.
Get that lobster roll.
Is that Jess from East Coast Red and Gold podcast? Have you been on, Damon?
I have been on that podcast. I have.
Good people.
Indeed. Well, not everyone feels that way, though. SF Bay 10 says, sorry, Larry, I will watch your Damon List podcast, but can't stand this idiot and his fox anger. I know you meant
foe.
I know.
Well, you know what? You know what they say? You haven't made it in this biz until people tune in every day to hate you.
That's right.
Carlos said Yannick Ngakwe is a free agent. Go get him. You know what? That's a great idea. What do you think of that name, Damon? I mean, he's an undersized rusher. He's been around the block. This guy was good at Maryland.
You spend on Yannick Ngakwe and give it to Trent fucking Williams. Let's handle that before anything else. Trent Williams should be the priority. No one should be allowed to leave Santa Clara until Trent Williams is reported for duty. What the fuck are you guys even doing? Seriously.
Well, but it's not an either or. I mean, it's not like, one guy's going to make nothing. The other guy's going to make a ton. But how about this? I agree. But how about let's get both? Let's get both. Clarence Beeks has been a member for 5 months. He says, beat hard, woo.
I think it was for CJ Beathard.
Okay. We got this one from Anthony. He says, Larry, Damon is trying to say, pay them now, worry about the financials next year, and win now. If Brock is the only dude left on the roster, so be it.
I agree.
I get it. I understand. But here's the thing about this. You can't put, the Rams put it all into 1 year, and then we're willing to shut it down for like 2 or 3 years. The Niners don't want to run that kind of biz. They want to run where they're going for it. They don't want to say goodbye completely to any 1 year. So it's different ways of running your cap, right? And the Niners are trying to be fiscally, make fiscally smart decisions so they can keep it going longer. The Rams, though, have what the Niners sought, which is the Super Bowl ring, the Lombardi Trophy. They got it. So, right now, the Rams are the ones who have all the, they're laughing. The Niners are the ones who are still chasing the ring. Rick James from, wasn't that a singer from the 80s? He says the Rams got Cody Schrader. Graham went to the Commanders, Kingston to the Panthers. What a joke. Yeah. And to me, the Rams getting Cody Schrader It's annoying, but I don't think it's a difference maker. Kingston going to the Panthers, I think he's going to be a good player for the Panthers. I didn't like losing Kingston. But losing Jalen Graham to the Commanders and keeping DFF, man, that
didn't make a lot of sense.
That one bugged me. Blood Moon says, what point does San Francisco say, here's the contract, sign it, or we revoke it, playing on the 5th-year option? Get Williams signed and trade for Reddick and extend him to fix this shit. It's so funny, Blood Moon. There's been a lot of people that have suggested your exact mode of operation. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Trent. Here's our offer, and it's going to sit for 48 hours, and then we're yanking it. It's kind of a hostile way to negotiate. It's like, take my offer, and there's a clock ticking. All these things sound good, but when they don't work, then what's your pivot? You always got to leave yourself a pivot point so that you can get to the next part of the negotiation. So I don't, I like your thinking. I'm sure Damon does too, because we're kind of in that bottom line, get it done. Don't tell me about the labor pain. Show me the damn baby. We're at that kind of point in this thing. But I do understand that it's finite, right? So like whatever dollars you give this year are probably dollars that you don't have to give next year, so on and so forth. Other teams are less in love. Have you noticed this? Other teams seem like they're less in love with their players than the Niners are. The Niners get their players, and it's like they got to keep them all. Tyreek Hill, Kansas City kissed him off. They just like, go see ya, get lost. Done.
Well, again, a little bit easier to do if you have Patrick Mahomes. The 49ers think they got something.
But Green Bay did it with Devontae too. They kissed him off. They said, "Man, we ain't paying him." They don't have Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, Mahomes makes it all work. Or Reed and Mahomes, let's just say, make it all work. But man, I mean, it's just like the 49ers, they try to retain a lot of their guys. And they probably should take a little bit more, maybe lower their asking price, start it earlier, and just know maybe this thing means in the future they'll realize this is what's coming. They'll get out in front of it and trade the player earlier. Other than that,
I mean, you'd think that there would be some lessons learned here. It's amazing how this just all snuck up on them. It just
shouldn't have.
When everyone has been screaming, don't let this sneak up on you, and now it's 12 days away until the football season, and they have two massive holdouts that have lingered this entire preseason that are not an inch closer to being resolved today as they were at the first day everyone reported for minicamp. So that is it's not a good place to be 12 days out. It really isn't. So if Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright want to look at the Rams and say, hey, maybe, I'm not going to laugh at them. I'm not going to say that they're totally out of pocket and wrong. Because
the only thing is, Damon, as they're saying it, they are sitting in LA. You know what I mean? It's like when you're sitting in the city that you're
Cowherd's in LA, Wright's in New York.
Oh, he's in New York.
But
Cowherd's in LA.
Cowherd's in LA.
Oh, I thought those guys were in. I thought Nick Wright and that trio with Broussard, those guys are in New York.
Yeah, New York. They do it right in the studios next to Fox News.
I saw your guy in. Was he in Italy? Or Nick Wright? Did you see that?
Did he just have a big vacation?
Him and Joy Taylor were hugging it out in Italy, I think. Or France or something like that. I don't know.
Very nice.
Like within the last 24 hours. Digital Drew said, how do we go this long and not talk about the kicker? I'm scared. Moody scares the hell out of me.
Don't be. He's really good. There you go.
I don't know how I feel about the kicker, to be completely honest, because he did miss an extra point in the Super Bowl. He has missed some. He definitely has a big leg. He hit 2 boomers in the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
He's pretty good. He's really good for a second-year player. I look at it this way. You got a lot of things more to worry about than Jake Moody.
Yeah. The kicking is not the problem. All right. That's going to do it.
Problem. That's it. Are we doing this on Wednesday? No. So here's the deal. Friday. If you want to do this on Friday at 9 a.m., I am in. But next Monday, I'm going to be coming back from Santa Cruz. We're getting away for a little Labor Day getaway for the family. So I will be out on Monday, Larry.
Labor Day.
After that, we're officially beginning Wake Up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 days a week, brought to you by Sam's Chowder House, who we're thrilled to have aboard. Hit like and subscribe because football season, it's coming fast. So we don't want to have you unsigned. So make sure you sign up with a like and a subscribe, and you hit notify, and you won't miss a thing. Thank you very much for watching. Larry, I got to run.
That is only thing I would say. I don't know for sure because the Niners don't have a schedule listed for Friday, but my guess is that Friday's going to be, I think Shanahan might be giving them Labor Day weekend off. Like I think they might be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're coming back to practice on Monday. So the plan is for Friday morning to 9 a.m. wake up Friday morning. So we should be back on Friday. I'll have more confirmation of that later today, but Damon, I think we're set. I think we're set for Friday.
Damon curses. It's disingenuous. It might not be nice, but believe me, my cursing is genuine.
His cursing is very genuine.
Very genuine.
Nobody is a more genuine cursor than Damon. Maybe Tommy Lasorda was close, but that's authentic. That's authentic FUs.
All those years on radio were so wasted not being able to swear. Thank God I am here. Larry, thank you very much. Everyone, have yourself a great week, and we will see you.
Wake up on Friday with Rose and Blanche.
I love it.
Pet Will, look at Pet Will. Damon, your anger is so funny. That was the line that Ralph used to say to me all the time. Craig, you always get so angry. It's so cute. You're mad at Sonny Jackson. Don't get so mad at the third base coach. Why are you so angry?
Thank you. All right, I gotta go, Larry. I gotta go.
I love Damon. Cursing is improving my English.
I gotta go.
I hear you. Runner. Let me just. I'm looking for the exit hatch. Here we go. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. There it is. Thanks, everybody. See you on Friday. Catch you later today at practice. Until then, peace.